What family secret was revealed during what was supposed to be a happy moment? When I was 13, my parents were hosting a one-year sobriety party for my older brother Jake. My mom was putting up these big balloons in his favorite color, and I kept nagging her about how happy I was that Jake was with us again. I was seriously over the moon, but she didn't really respond to me. She'd just smile and nod. Dad was putting out food trays, but he wasn't saying much either. I figured they were just making sure the party went smoothly. Guests started showing up around 6, and our house quickly filled with warmth. Relatives hugged Jake extra tight, congratulating him with smiles and sincere words. When Jake stood up to give his speech about sobriety, everyone got super quiet. He was emotional right from the start, thanking our parents for sticking by him through the worst moments, never giving up even when things got ugly. I noticed Mom smiling at him, her eyes glassy like she was about to cry. Dad remained stone cold though, like he was bored of what Jake had to say. It really rubbed me the wrong way. A little later, when I was grabbing a soda from the kitchen, I overheard our aunt whispering to my uncle, "I don't want to stay for this." It was such a strange thing to say, and it stuck in my mind. Stay for what exactly? I wondered. I watched Jake carefully for the rest of the night, especially when he approached Mom and Dad in the hallway looking concerned. He asked them quietly if everything was alright. Mom gave Jake this overly bright smile, brushing it off and saying they were just emotional from the evening. Dad quickly agreed, telling Jake how proud he was of his strength. Jake visibly relaxed, buying what they were selling instantly. For a second, I did too. The party was winding down around 9 when suddenly Dad stood up again, tapping loudly on his glass to get everyone's attention. I remember my stomach dropping for no clear reason as he cleared his throat. The room went quite fast. Dad looked around briefly, and then fixed his eyes directly on Jake. "Jake, we're proud of your 1 year sober," he said flatly. "But now," he continued, "it's time you faced life alone. Your mother and I have decided we're no longer going to support you financially or emotionally. It's best if you stand on your own from this point forward. You have 24 hours to pack your things and leave." The silence that fell afterward was deafening. Jake stood frozen in place, looking like someone had punched him straight in the gut. He stammered out, "Wait, what are you saying? After everything I just said tonight?" Dad didn't even flinch. "Exactly, Jake. We supported you long enough. We owe you nothing more." Guests awkwardly started grabbing coats and making excuses to leave, mumbling goodbyes and avoiding eye contact with us. My cheeks burned from embarrassment, confusion, and growing anger I couldn't quite explain. Jake waited until everyone left before confronting Mom and Dad in the kitchen. I crept to the doorway, hidden behind the pantry cabinet, listening anxiously. Jake demanded an explanation, his breathing heavy and ragged. "Did you ever really support me?" he asked quietly, almost afraid of their answer. That's when Mom, usually gentle and warm, spoke in a voice colder than I'd ever heard. "We supported you publicly because it was expected of us, Jake, not because we wanted to." I remember wanting to run and hit them for saying this about my older brother, but I resisted. Honestly, we never forgave you for what happened with Emily. My world stopped. Emily was our younger sister. She died 5 years earlier in a tragic accident. Jake had been babysitting us, and she ran into the street chasing a soccer ball. It wasn't Jake's fault, but our parents had always been weird about it, never openly blaming him, but never fully comforting him either. Jake's voice was barely audible, tight with grief. "You really blame me for Emily's death?" Dad answered this time, coldly confirming Jake's worst fear. "Yes, your mother and I always have." Jake's silent cries that followed was the worst sound I'd ever heard. After a moment he stormed out, slamming the door so hard it shook the whole house. Jake disappeared from our lives for a while after that night. Mom and Dad rarely mentioned him, acting like he didn't exist. I thought he would go back to his old ways. Eventually though, I learned Jake never fell back into alcohol. Instead, he fought through his pain, moved into a sober living place, and rebuilt his life with support from people who truly understood him. It took years, but Jake became someone the whole family was proud of, except Mom and Dad. When Jake was in his early 20s, our parents reached out, finally admitting their cruelty and begging him to forgive them. Jake agreed to see them once. I was there too. He listened calmly, thanked them for finally being honest, then clearly and gently told them he had built a life that didn't include them. He walked away stronger, leaving Mom and Dad with the silence they had created.